There is a whisper that arrives not in words, but as a silent rearrangement of your inner world. A book falls from a shelf for no reason. A dream leaves a residue that colors your entire day. A stranger's glance feels like a message you were meant to receive. You dismiss this as coincidence, as mental static. But I tell you, this is the most important data you will ever receive. This is not noise. It is the first fragile frequency of your soul's transmission, the first awakening signs of a consciousness that is beginning to remember its true name. You have called it luck. You have called it a happy accident. You have stood in a moment of perfect, meaningful coincidence and felt the world shift, only to have your rational mind quickly sandbag the experience, telling you it was nothing. But I tell you, in that moment, you brushed against the living architecture of the psyche. You witnessed the synchronicity engine the universe, not as a cold, causal machine, but as a responsive, intelligent partner in your awakening. This is not mere coincidence. Coincidence is random, a statistical fluke. Synchronicity is meaningful. It is the eruption of the unconscious into the physical world, arranging events in a pattern that carries a specific message for you. It is the book that opens to the exact page addressing the question tormenting your soul. It is running into the one person who can help you precisely when you had given up hope. These are not random events. They are the universe whispering your name, confirming that you are on the right path, or sometimes warning you that you are straying from it. The ego, the great gatekeeper of your conscious identity, fears this. It wants to believe it is in full control. To admit that an unseen intelligence is weaving meaning into the fabric of your daily life is to admit that the ego is not the master of the house, but merely the landlord. So it dismisses these moments. It calls them fantasy. But when you begin to honor them, to record them in a journal, to see them as the clues they are, a profound shift occurs. You stop feeling like a lonely leaf in the stream of chance and begin to feel like a participant in a cosmic dialogue. The synchronicities will multiply. Why? Because what you pay attention to, you energize. By acknowledging the signal, you turn up the volume. The synchronicity engine is the first and most gentle sign that a deeper process of individuation has begun. It is the psyche's way of proving its own existence to the skeptical, conscious mind. It is the bridge between the world of inner meaning and outer reality, and when you learn to walk across it, you will find that you are never truly alone. The universe is collaborating with your soul's intent. Your task is not to force these moments, but to cultivate the receptive awareness that allows you to see them. Become the scholar of your own coincidences. For in their pattern, you will find the first draft of your destiny dot. While your conscious mind sleeps, a more ancient part of you holds counsel. It does not speak in the linear prose of your waking life. It speaks in the visceral poetry of symbols, in the language of the haunting dream. This is not the dream you easily forget. It is the one that clings to you upon waking, whose emotional atmosphere, be it terror, awe, or profound sorrow, becomes the background music of your entire day. You may not remember the plot, but you remember the feeling. That feeling is the message. We make a grave error by trying to interpret dreams as literal predictions or simple wish fulfillment. They are far more sophisticated. The haunting dream is a telegram from the front lines of your own psychological evolution. It is the unconscious compensating for the one-sidedness of your conscious attitude. If you are overly rigid and controlled in your waking life, you may dream of tidal waves or wild horses, the erupting power of the instinctual world you have repressed. If you are ungrounded and scattered, you may dream of finding a hidden, solid room in your house, the discovery of a new center of stability within yourself. The figures in these dreams are not strangers. They are personified aspects of your own psyche. The frightening pursuer is often your own rejected power or vitality, your shadow. The wise old man or woman is the emergent archetype of the self, the guiding principle of wholeness. The child is often the symbol of your potential, your new life waiting to be born. To understand a haunting dream is not to decode a riddle, but to feel its truth in your body. What part of you is that raging river? What part of you is that locked-roomed first awakening is often heralded by a change in your dream life. The dreams become more vivid, more bizarre, more emotionally charged. This is a sign that the communication channels are opening. The dam between the conscious and the unconscious is developing cracks, and the water is beginning to flow. Do not turn away from these nocturnal emissaries. Welcome them. Keep a notebook by your bed. Do not judge the images. Record them with the curiosity of an anthropologist discovering a lost civilization. For that is exactly what you are doing. You are making contact with the vast, unexplored continent of your own soul. The haunting dream is its first and most profound map. There is a sadness that visits you which has no name. It arrives not after a loss or a failure, but in the midst of an otherwise ordinary day. It is a sorrow that seems to belong not to your personal history, but to the very air you breathe, a melancholy as deep and ancient as the ocean. You search for a cause, a regret, a worry, a slight, but find nothing adequate to explain the weight of it. You call it depression. You fear it as a breakdown. But I tell you, this ache of the unexplained is not a sickness of the mind. It is the homesickness of a soul that has momentarily remembered its true origin, and the memory is almost too beautiful to bear. This ache is the shadow cast by a light you have not yet turned to face. It is the proof of a depth within you that your current life has not yet plumbed. We are taught to flee from this feeling, to numb it, to pathologize it. We fill the silence with noise and the emptiness with distraction, terrified of what we might hear in the quiet. But in doing so, we are running from our most reliable spiritual compass. This sorrow is not your enemy. It is a sacred gauge, measuring the distance between the life you are living and the life you are destined to live. It is the pain of a horizon that is too close, of a story that is too small for the vastness of your spirit. When you feel this ache, do not ask, "What is wrong with me?" This is the wrong question, a question that leads only to a labyrinth of circular blame. Instead, you must ask the courageous question, what is this ache trying to point me toward? The answer will never be a simple thing. It will not say a new job or a new city. It will speak in the language of qualities. It points toward a need for more authenticity, a hunger for more silence, a requirement for more meaningful connection, a call to create something that only you can bring into the world. This ache is the engine of your evolution. It is the divine discontent that will not let you rest in the comfortable, the conventional, the half-true dot. To honor this ache is to sit with it as you would with a respected elder who has come with a difficult but vital message. You do not drug the elder. You listen, you offer it a seat by the fire of your awareness, and you ask it to speak. You allow the feeling to be there without judgment, without panic. And in that space of non-resistance, a profound alchemy occurs. The heavy, leaden weight of the sadness begins to transmute. It becomes a focused, potent energy. It becomes the fuel for your resolve, the catalyst for the difficult choices you have been avoiding. The ache was never meant to paralyze you. It was meant to propel you. It is the deep tectonic shifting of your inner world, preparing the ground for a new structure to be built. Your sorrow is not a sign of failure, but the first sign of a forthcoming integrity. Now, let us turn to a most unexpected and unappealing teacher, your daily annoyance. The colleague whose laugh grates on your nerves, the relative whose political opinions feel like a personal assault, the slow walker who blocks your path. You believe these people are the problem. You invest enormous energy in criticizing their behavior, in building a case against them in the court of your mind. But I tell you, this is a profound miscalculation of psychic energy. The world outside you is a vast and neutral screen. The people who irritate you are not causing your reaction. They are triggering a resonance with something in your own psyche that you have refused to acknowledge they are. In fact, living mirrors, what you hate most in others is very often a disowned part of yourself. This is a difficult pill for the ego to swallow. The man who is enraged by a display of arrogance in another is almost always a man who has ruthlessly suppressed his own natural confidence and assertiveness, fearing it will make him unlikable. The woman who is infuriated by perceived incompetence is often a woman who drives herself with a brutal, unrelenting inner critic. The other person's behavior acts as a key, unlocking the door to a room in your own inner house where you have imprisoned a part of your own vitality. You are not angry at them. You are angry for the part of you that they represent, the part you have cast into the darkness of your own shadow dot. Therefore, your irritation is not a nuisance to be eliminated. It is a precise, if ungentle, diagnostic tool. It is a flashing arrow pointing directly to a part of your own soul that is crying out for integration. The next time you feel that familiar surge of annoyance, I implore you stop. Do not engage outwardly, turn inward. Ask the mirror, what part of me is that? What quality in that person have I forbidden in myself? The answer may be humbling. It may reveal your own hidden arrogance, your own laziness, your own need for control, your own fear of being seen as foolish. This is not an exercise in self-flagellation. It is an act of reclamation. When you can recognize that the trait you despise out there is, in fact, the potential in here, a miraculous shift occurs. The irritation loses its power over you. The other person ceases to be your persecutor and becomes, instead, your unwitting teacher. You can thank them silently for showing you a part of yourself you could not see. And in that moment, you reclaim a fragment of your own wholeness. You begin to understand that the entire outer world is a schoolroom for the soul, and your reactions are the curriculum. You have been taught to live in your head, to trust logic, analysis, the neat narratives of your conscious mind. But I tell you, your body is not merely a vehicle for your brain. It is a vast, intelligent, and sensitive antenna, continuously receiving broadcasts from the deepest layers of the unconscious and from the field of life itself. While your mind is busy weaving stories and excuses, your body is recording the unvarnished truth. A sudden clenching in your gut during a conversation that seems pleasant, an inexplicable fatigue that descends when you are about to make a decision your soul knows is wrong, a flutter of excitement in your heart when you stumble upon a path that is right for you. Even if your mind protests its impracticality, your conscious mind can lie to you. It can rationalize, it can deny, it can spin tales to maintain a comfortable fiction. Your body cannot. It speaks the ancient, honest language of sensation. It is the canary in the coal mine of your psyche, reacting to poisonous situations long before your mind has admitted there is any danger. That tension in your shoulders is not just stress, it is the weight of a responsibility you do not want to carry. That chronic pain in your neck is not just a physical ailment, it can be the manifestation of a refusal to see a truth that is staring you in the face. The body incarnates the conflicts of the soul. It makes the abstract concrete. The first awakening often begins not with a thought, but with a symptom. The body, unable to get the attention of the deafened conscious mind, begins to shout through its own distress. It is a last resort. To ignore the body's intelligence is to cut yourself off from half of your available data. The rational mind is a magnificent tool, but it is a latecomer in the evolutionary story. The body is the ancient wisdom, the primal knowing, the instinctual ground from which all consciousness springs. To decode your soul's call, you must learn to drop your awareness down from your head and into the rest of you. Sit in silence and simply feel. What do you feel in your chest when you consider a certain choice? What happens in your stomach when you think of a certain person? Does your body feel light, expansive, and energized? Or does it feel heavy, contracted, and drained? This is not mystical nonsense. It is basic psychic physics. Your body is resonating with the truth of any given situation. It is your built-in divining rod, twitching over the hidden springs of meaning and the buried landmines of falsehood. Trust the gut that tightens before the contract is signed. Trust the heart that leaps at the sight of a forgotten passion. Your body is not a slave to your mind. It is its partner, its advisor, and often its most truthful guide. There is a longing that will begin to stir within you for something you cannot name. It is not a longing for a better version of your current life, but for a life of an entirely different order. You may find yourself drawn to art forms you do not understand, to philosophies that challenge your deepest assumptions, to landscapes that are alien to your experience. This is not random curiosity. This is the pull of the unfamiliar, the magnetic attraction of the parts of your own potential that have not yet been lived. Your soul, in its inherent drive toward wholeness, is drawn to what is outside your current identity because it contains the necessary nutrients for your next stage of growth. Your conscious personality is a complex of habits, beliefs, and preferences that you have come to call I. But this I is only a small clearing in the vast, wild forest of the total psyche. The pull of the unfamiliar is the call from the unexplored territory of your own being. The part of you that is a mystic is drawn to silence because the rationalist in you has dominated for too long. The part of you that is a warrior is drawn to stories of conflict because the peacemaker in you has been overworked. We are not single notes, but entire chords. The unfamiliar attracts us because it promises to complete our melody. The ego, whose job is to maintain consistency and control, will interpret this pull as a threat. It will label it irresponsible, weird, or a phase. It will try to tether you to the familiar shore, warning you of the dangers of the open sea. But the soul knows that to refuse this pull is to choose a slow death by stagnation. To follow it is to agree to your own expansion. This is why you might suddenly feel the urge to learn the cello at 40, or to study ancient languages, or to travel alone to a country where you know no one. It is not the activity itself that is the goal. It is the quality of being that the activity evokes in you. It is about becoming the person who does that thing. When you feel this pull, however faint, do not analyze it to death. Take one small, concrete step toward it. Read the first chapter of the book on quantum physics. Visit the botanical garden and learn the name of one strange plant. Enroll in the beginner's class. The act of moving toward the unfamiliar, however slightly, sends a powerful message to the unconscious. I am ready. I am listening. Show me more. And the unconscious will respond. It will open doors you did not know were there, connect you with people who can guide you, and bring to the surface talents you forgot you possessed. The path of destiny is not found by looking at a map of where you have already been. It is forged by following the starlight of what you are not yet, but are destined to become. And finally, we come to the most disorienting, yet most liberating of all the signs. The roles you have played for years, the responsible one, the cheerful one, the expert, the helper, begin to feel like costumes made of lead. The words that once came easily to your lips now taste like ash. The social rituals that once grounded you now feel like empty pantomimes. You look in the mirror, and the face that looks back is a familiar stranger. This is not a personal failure. This is the blessed, necessary, and terrifying collapse of the mask. It is the deconstruction of the persona, the social facade you built to navigate the world, which has now become a prison. The persona is not inherently bad. It is a necessary interface, like the hull of a ship that allows it to sail the social seas. But when you forget you are the captain and the crew, and you begin to identify with the hull itself, you are lost. You have glued the mask to your face until you believe the painted smile is your own. The collapse begins when the soul can no longer breathe behind the mask. It is a crisis of authenticity, a rebellion of the true self against the tyranny of the false self. This collapse feels like a breakdown because it is a breakdown of what is false. It is the cracking of the shell so the living thing inside can finally emerge. The anxiety, the depression, the feeling of being utterly lost that accompanies this process is the death throes of an outgrown identity. It is the feeling of a hermit crab that has grown too large for its borrowed shell, exposed and vulnerable, but on the verge of finding a new, more spacious home. You are not falling apart. You are shedding a skin. Do not rush to find a new mask. Do not try to paste the old one back together. The most courageous work you can do now is to stand in the nakedness of this transition, to tolerate the uncertainty of not knowing who you are anymore. For it is only in this space of not knowing that the authentic self can begin to show its face. It will not be a single, fixed identity. It will be a fluid, dynamic, and more truthful expression of your multifaceted being. You will no longer act kind, you will be kindness. You will no longer perform competence, you will embody skill. The energy you once spent maintaining the facade becomes freed, transforming into a radiant vitality that is unmistakably and powerfully your own. This collapse is the culmination of all the other signs. The synchronicities guided you here. The dreams prepared you. The ache compelled you. The irritations revealed you. The body grounded you. The unfamiliar called you. And now the mask falls. It is the great turning point. It is the moment you stop being an actor on the stage of your life and become, at long last, the playwright, the director, and the most authentic player all at once. So now, you see, the path is not in the distant future. It is being broadcast now in the quiet static of your perception. You have learned to read the synchronicities, to decipher the nocturnal telegrams, to understand the sacred message in your ache. You have seen the mirror in your irritation, felt the truth in your body, honored the pull of the unfamiliar, and witnessed the blessed collapse of the mask you once called yourself. This is not a path for the faint of heart. It demands courage to trust the whisper over the shout, the symbol over the fact, the pull of the soul over the push of the world. But I tell you, the universe is not indifferent to your existence. It is actively courting your awakening. It is leaving clues in your path, sending emissaries in your dreams, and rearranging the circumstances of your life to guide you home to yourself. Do not leave this understanding as a concept. Embody it. Become a living, breathing instrument of your soul's call. Let your life be the proof of this unseen world. Let your choices be the answer to the whispers you have received. The first awakening is not a destination. It is a door. You have found the key. Now, turn the lock, step through, and may your journey into the vast and magnificent landscape of your own soul be the greatest adventure you will ever know. Thank you.